Hi everyone, and thank you so much for joining another Ready to Ride Pilates for Horse Rider session. Now, of course, as always, if you are here by mistake looking for a standard Pilates, this will cover all your needs just as well. We are going to be doing a whole body session today, provided we don't either take off or get drenched in the shower. And primarily we're going to be targeting your shoulder girdles and your glutes, because these are such key areas for you as horse riders. Hopefully you are already warmed up and ready to go, but just to make sure you're really prepared, I'd like you to start thinking about your spine position and try to have that feeling that you are really elastic through the length of your spine, and you can draw yourself up really nice and tall from the base of your spine right through to the top of your head. Make sure you're breathing right down into the base of your lungs, relax through your upper body. Then pop your arms across your chest, sink your seat bones down into your mat or the floor, and make sure you're equal through both sides. Then we're going to turn your shoulders from side to side. And as you turn, try to keep your shoulders level, thinking about when you're on your horse, particularly if you're doing lateral work, you want to make sure that your shoulders don't drop or collapse as you turn. But as you do so, really focus on your seat bones and make sure you can keep that equal weight as you do your turn. If you're sinking onto one seat bone, even if your shoulders are staying level, that sort of weight transference your horse is going to feel. So this is a really good, simple, but really nifty little exercise to practice. Okay, we're now going to turn onto your front. I'm going to start with an exercise called the Swan dive, and I'm going to show you two different versions of doing this. If you are new to Pilates or you're just not feeling up to anything too strenuous today, we will do the first version for you. I'd like you to face your mat. I'm going to face you so that you can hear me speaking. Draw your shoulder blades back and down, bring your tummy away from that little puddle of water underneath you, and activate your pelvic floor onto floor 3. And then you're going to lift your head just off the floor and slowly back down. Check shoulder blades, tummy, pelvic floor, lift, and then slowly back down. If that is nice and easy and you want to progress on, then as you lift, you bring your arms off the floor and take them back down again, all at the same time as lifting your head and neck. Whichever one you are doing, everything moves together. What you want to avoid is your elbows leading, hands leading, and also that you don't tilt with your head, so I will demonstrate. So your head wants to stay looking down the whole time so that this whole upper body moves as one. Keep checking your shoulder blades are back and down, tummy is away from the puddle of water, and that pelvic floor onto floor 3. You can do one more. Okay, then we're going to change to an exercise called your hundreds. And we're going to do this with your arms out to the side to start off with. Then again, draw your shoulder blades back and down, tummy away from the puddle of water, and pelvic floor onto floor 3. We're going to do it with a difference. We're going to pat the imaginary puddles of water by your side, but then bring your hands down so your hands are by your side, and then carry on patting, take your hands back up, and then come back down once again. Keeping your shoulder blades back and down, tummy in that neutral away from the puddle of water position, and your pelvic floor onto floor 3. Make sure that you are still breathing. Keep your fingertips lightly pressing the floor if you need to, and then you know that both hands are coming into contact with the floor at the same time. And make sure that you're not starting to flap your hands, you're starting to get tired. Make sure this is all coming from your shoulders. We're going to do one last set back up to your starting position, and then have a little breather. Okay, we're going to turn onto your side next. I've got a headrest. You don't have to have a headrest if you don't want to. We are going to do your clam exercise first of all. So your start-up position for your clam is feet lined up with your bottom, and you can do this exercise with your feet on the floor or with your feet off the floor. I'm going to do off the floor. This is just slightly hard, it takes your hip through a slightly greater range. So before you start, your setup is mouse hole open underneath here, top hand onto your top headlight, and pelvic floor onto floor 3, and then you're going to open and close the top knee. Just starting to rain, so hopefully I don't get too soaked. Open and close that top knee, keeping the feet together, keeping the mouse hole open, and pelvic floor onto floor 3. If you find that really easy, you want to make it a little bit harder, You can add in a little extension, and you can do this whether your feet are on the floor or off, doesn't matter. Just makes your glutes work a little bit harder but still keeping the mouse hold. Pelvic floor, nice stable headlight, and make sure that you keep breathing. Okay, we'll do one more of this one, and then I'm going to introduce you to an exercise called the side kick. You need to have your legs in what I call the capital L position, so you are a straight line from shoulders, hips to knees, knees bent to 90 degrees. Once again, top hand onto your top headlight, mouse holes open, pelvic floor onto floor 3. Float your top leg, and then you are bringing your knee up around level with your hip and pelvis. Try to keep your foot, knee and hip level. You want to imagine you're polishing a coffee table. Now this is a really good exercise for leg control, position control. If you're someone who finds that your leg sometimes does have a bit of a mind of its own and wanders, this is a great exercise. You really want to make sure that that top headlight is staying absolutely still. If that exercise is enough for you, carry on as you are. Otherwise, you can prop yourself up and carry on, make it a little bit harder, propped up onto your forearm. So now you've just got a little bit less weight supported. You're just making that whole body effort a little bit harder. You can make it harder still if you really want to by lifting. So your pelvis is now off the floor and you carry on doing the same movement. It's now even harder to keep your pelvic floor onto floor 3. And also it's harder to make sure you're keeping breathing. But just think what it's like when you're on the horse and you're trying to think about 10 different things all at one time and keep breathing. So we're trying to recreate some of those challenges that you get on the horse, making sure that your body, your legs, your arms are doing what you want them to do whilst you're doing about 25 different other things and still breathing. A couple more of this one. Okay, pop your leg down and we're going to go onto your back. You can have a headrest or not, it's entirely up to you. And we're going to start off with an exercise called the scissors. Now you can, if you're on a flat surface, do this with a spiky ball on your tummy. I'm not doing that because I'm on my garden and it's not remotely flat. Okay, I will start off once again with the easy version of this one. Whichever one you do, hands onto your headlights so you know they're staying still. Neutral flat tummy position, pelvic floor onto floor 3, and you're bringing one leg up to tabletop, foot back down, then the other leg up to tabletop and foot back down. So if this is enough for you, absolutely by all means stay doing this level. Otherwise, up into tabletop, once again neutral tummy, pelvic floor and hands onto your headlights, and you're taking one foot down and back up and the other foot down and back up, still making sure you're moving from the hip, not the knee. So we're trying to avoid this movement. It's all about hip control. That is when you are riding what is key, having good hip and pelvis control. If that's easy, then you can make it a little bit harder still and move both legs at the same time. Once again, really concentrate on keeping that neutral tummy position. Maybe think about your ropes running from ribs to pelvis, and also really concentrate on your breathing. This is the sort of exercise where if you're not careful, you'll find that you're really bracing through here and not breathing. I'm talking away like a mad thing, so of course I'm breathing. If you're on your own, sometimes talking, counting, singing, that can be really helpful. So do a couple more of this. Okay, feet back down if they were up, and we're going to move on to an exercise called the double leg stretch. This has 2 parts, arms and legs. So once again, I will give you the slightly easier version to start off with. Same startup, neutral tummy, pelvic floor onto floor 3, hands onto your headlights. And if you are going to do this version, you are sliding one foot out and back up, and then slide the other foot out and back up. If you are on a carpet, particularly if you've got socks, you'll find this much easier than on the grass. If that's a little bit easier for you, then you're going to do it from the tabletop once again. So neutral tummy, pelvic floor and hands. And you're going to be straightening each leg in turn, making sure this part of you doesn't move. So once again, we're looking for that nice independent leg movement without the body joining in. Okay, then whichever position you are in, we're going to add in your arms. And this is where it gets really fun, because you're going to draw a circle with your arms. Nothing too big, because you're going to combine it with your leg movement. So now you've got to think about keeping that neutral tummy position. Great if you're using your spiky ball and it stays in place. And those headlights level. Keeping your pelvic floor onto floor 3. Keeping your ropes really active from ribs to pelvis so that we don't get that flaring upwards as your arms go. And once again, breathe, please breathe. I can always tell in class if someone's holding their breath, even if we're doing it through Zoom. Keep breathing. Do one more with each leg. Okay, hands down, one at a time, feet back down. And we're now going to turn onto the side that you haven't already done. Sending this one back in. And once again, we're going to start off with your glutes. So, feet lined up with your bottom, mouth holes open, pelvic floor onto floor 3, top hand onto your top headlights. Feet on the floor or elevated, it's absolutely fine, it's up to you. And you're looking for that nice, smooth, controlled motion. Taking the knee up as far as you can go comfortably, whilst keeping all those key elements in control. Then we're going to add in the extensions. Remember, you can do this whether your feet are on the floor or not. Just makes those glutes work a little bit harder. And I really think something I've been developing over the last few months is that stamina, particularly with your glutes, is so important. So it's all very well being able to do an exercise 10 times really well. You need to be able to do it 50 times and then move on to something else and do that 50 times if you really want to have good, strong glutes that are going to survive the duration of a dressage warm-up and then the test, then show jumping and then your cross country. Okay, last one, if you can hear me over the wind. Okay, feet back down. We're going to move on to your side kick again. So legs into that capital L position, mouth holes open, pelvic floor, top hand onto your top headlights, and you're floating your top leg and doing that coffee table polishing. So you're trying to keep your foot, knee and hip lined up. Okay, then as we do on the other side, stay doing this one if you want to. If it's a little bit easy there, you're going to prop up onto your forearms, still in that nice capital L position, still using your top hand onto your top headlight. That gives you feedback that your pelvis is still and it's your leg that is moving, just like you want when you're riding. What you want to avoid when you're riding is that when you move your leg to apply a leg aid, say canter transition for example, that just because you move your leg, pelvis doesn't join in. Okay, and then we'll make it that slightly harder again, lifting the pelvis and then carrying on with that same movement, with the same quality. And again, particularly as it's getting harder, making sure that you can keep breathing. So you've got pelvic floor, stable headlight. Keep breathing, keep that leg position, foot, knee and hip level. Do a couple more. Lovely, okay, foot down. And then we're going to come back up into sitting. Okay, so before you finish, I just want to make sure you've loosened off. I suggest you perhaps go and do another session. One of the warm-up sessions can be really good, or there's the cool-down session, or another whole separate session, because this has been reasonably short. But I just want to make sure you are relaxed before you finish. So some nice big shoulder girdle rolls, particularly if you were doing that last one propped up on your shoulders. You don't want to finish being tense and tight. And then we're going to do a sort of a modified version of the mermaid exercise. So you're going to put one hand out to the side and then reach up, push your fingertips away for a good big stretch down your side, and then bring your hand back down. With the same side again, good big reach and a stretch. If you want to do a breath in, that can really help. And we'll do one more to that side. So reach over, a good big stretch. Lovely. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing to the other side. So hand down and then reach over, that lovely big stretch. Breath in if you want. And again, reach over, a lovely big stretch. And we're going to do one last breath in if you want. And then bring that arm back down by your side. Check that your shoulders are level, check you've got those nice equal seat bones. And we're going to finish there for today. I really hope you've been able to actually hear what I've been saying over the wind. I hope you've enjoyed the session and found it useful. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. It means a huge amount if people do subscribe. And take care, look after yourselves, and I will see you at the next session. Bye bye.